911, where's your emergency?
Yes, ma'am. The water's at top of cars right now. We're at Verizon and Sprint's Furniture on Mallory Lane. None of us can get out to the street at all. There's a lot of cars that soon will be underwater.
Okay, is there anybody in the car?
Yes, ma'am. We're all in our cars. We had to vacate the furniture store, and there's one car, the water's almost to the top of it down in the front parking lot right now.
The City of Franklin Police Dispatch received 200 emergency calls May 1st as the floodwaters began to rise. The average number of calls on an ordinary Saturday is about 27.
There goes my TV. Huh?
Can you get out?
No, we can't get out. Please help us.
All right, stay on the line with me.
Okay. Oh my God. We have dogs in the car too.
Okay, what I need
We thought we could make it, but we were wrong. I'm sorry.
The City Streets Department was the first on the scene as the high waters made several roads impassable.
The rains just kept coming and coming and getting heavier and heavier, and we wound up closing somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 35 streets over that entire weekend.
As the rains continued to build from Saturday into Sunday, it really became more of a bigger flood issue, and we needed to look at larger responses and long-term recovery efforts, etc. And that's when we started to call in the whole of our city leadership team and to start have discussions about both what we do for immediate responses as well as what our next actions would be to help people recover and return to normal as quickly as possible. One of the interesting things we ran into was just the importance of continuing to communicate with our citizens, and we did that in about every way we could think of, from going on radio and TV to also using Facebook, Twitter, using our website, setting up a phone number that people could call into and get updates, and really just trying to reach citizens any way we could to help provide them with good information.
Franklin's public safety teams were working around the clock to rescue stranded residents across the city.
We sent some people over to Academy Sports, and they procured us a couple of boats to use, and it really helped us save a lot of people in this community. This is what we live for, is to help other people during their time of need.
And I said, you know, everything y'all got in this house can be replaced, but nobody can replace either one of you. And I said, it's time to go. And they looked at one another and, you know, they said, he's right. And in the boat they went, and we got them out in a hurry.
The Franklin Police Department played a pivotal role, not only in dispatch, but out on the streets, keeping people safe from flooded areas.
At any given time, we had nearly 30 officers on the road. We were used in a variety of capacities, from closing off streets that had been closed due to flooding, to actually having to deal with people who were out jet skiing in the Harpeth River where it had overflown.
Early Monday morning, after the rain subsided, the worst happened when a fire rocked the Fieldstone Farms neighborhood. Firefighters worked in the dark and in high waters to contain the fire.
We had one structure that was on fire, and the fire was impinging on the structures on each side of it. And our crews were heroically standing out in 4 feet of water up to their waist fighting these fires. And it was extraordinary. I'd never seen anything like it in my 37 years.
Franklin Fire rescued close to 400 people, and more than 440 structures were damaged. The next step was the recovery process and getting Franklin back in shape.
They've lost everything. I mean, they've lost completely everything. Just household stuff. They've been having to re-tear the whole house out and start all over.
The Solid Waste Department collected a record amount of debris over the 7-week period, on average 100 tons a day.
For us, our staff was not only surprised but shocked, but then they took great pride in being able to help folks, help them get cleaned up, help them, protect public health, as well as give them a little light at the end of the tunnel that, hey, part of their work, had been taken care of and was gone from curbside, and they were actually able to move on with their life or move on to the next step, whatever the next step was for them.
The city worked closely with FEMA and held a community meeting on May 10. The city offered free building permits to residents affected by the flood. The city park system sustained close to $500,000 in damages, with Fieldstone Sports Fields and Pinkerton Park receiving the most harm. Hundreds of people called with offers to volunteer or help anyone affected by the flood. The Parks Department was able to put some of those volunteers to work on May 15th to rebuild Pinkerton Park. They cleaned up the playgrounds, mulched, and more.
The storm that we experienced on May 1st and May 2nd had a tremendous impact. It was literally a historic event. It exceeded the flood estimates and storm estimates that you see for an over 1,000-year event. So we responded to something we may never see again in our lifetime. We don't know. It will have implications for us going forward as we learn from it and do better. We think our city organization responded tremendously. We saw the community respond to one another and step up and help friends and neighbors and strangers alike. Everyone stepped up to help one another, and that was a great experience to see that happen. As we go forward, we will continue to learn from the experience and be ready next time. It may not be a flood, it may be some other event, but we want to be ready to serve our citizens, meet them in a time of need, and help continue to provide excellent services and help people return and recover to normal life when something like this happens.
Not only did the city team respond, but many Franklin citizens came forward on their own to help those affected by the flood. GraceWorks Ministries is affiliated with more than 40 local churches. They specifically assisted over 100 families with basic needs such as food, housewares, cleaning, and building supplies. Close to 500 volunteers served 1,800 hours for flood relief.